Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today. For this one we are going to do another malt review, and this one I think should be pretty interesting actually. Apparently this is the world's best selling single malt, and I didn't know that. Obviously I've seen this one around a hell of a lot, but I didn't know that it was, the world's best selling one, so very much looking forward to it. I don't think I've ever actually tried this, oddly enough. I've tried a lot of different whiskies, but just never ever got around to this one. Much like some of the craft beers and stuff that I review, there's a lot of ones that you see all the time, so you just never think to actually try these. But a big thank you to my friend Pete once again for loaning me his bottle of this to do the reviews. As I've said, over the next kind of couple of months and things like that, I do want to do more whiskey reviews and things like that, but a lot of that kind of relies on people lending me their whiskies and stuff like that, which is obviously hugely appreciated. It would be very expensive, of course, to run a whiskey review channel and do it as regularly as I do the beer reviews, so huge thank you to Pete for making this review possible. So for this one, as you can see, we're going to go to the Glenfiddich Distillery. These guys are one of the Speyside distilleries up to the kind of northwest of Aberdeen, kind of in the middle of Aberdeen and Inverness, of course, and we're having a taste of their 12-year-old whiskey, which is should be very, very nice. As I've heard, this one is quite it's one of the slightly sweeter and fruity ones, so very curious to see how it turns out. But yeah, as always with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the distillery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the distillery website, the link to my other reviews that hopefully I can do in the future from Glenfiddich. Very first time I'm reviewing one of their whiskies. Of course, I think it might actually be the very first time I'm tasting one of their whiskies as well, but I can't remember for certain. But there's all the usual social media. If you want to see more whiskey reviews and also beer and sake reviews, do check out the channel, and you can search for things based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. The whole channel has a geography-based tagging system, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some other beers, whiskies, sakes and things like that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, on to my distillery notes then, to tell you a little bit about the Glenfiddich Distillery. So the Glenfiddich Distillery was founded back in 1886 by William Grant, and it's located in Dufftown in Speyside, which, as I mentioned to you, is this region between Aberdeen in the east and Inverness in the west. Very, very well known for its food and drink, of course. But this village is located at the glen, in the glen of the River Fiddich, hence the name of the distillery. But apparently during Prohibition in the US, Glenfiddich were one of the few Scottish distilleries that actually increased their production, and this put them in a very, very strong position when Prohibition was repealed, because they had a hell of a lot of aged whiskies that they could go and actually sell over in America. But the 1950s saw the Grant family invest heavily in the distillery and the infrastructure on site, and they're one of the few distilleries now who actually have a dedicated copperage to maintain their stills. They've got a dedicated coppersmith team actually as well. And 1956 also saw them introduce their famous triangular bottle, which was designed by Hans Schläger, pardon me. But in the 60s and 70s, it was a very, very difficult time for the distillery, and most distilleries actually had trouble during this time. But these guys once again expanded their capacity, and they introduced an intensive advertising campaign and really focused on the production of single malt. And a lot of whiskey buffs and things like that will tell you, from what I understand, that these guys were really instrumental in creating this category of single malt whiskey. If it hadn't been, obviously someone else might have done it later on, but Glenfiddich really were the ones who pushed this kind of idea of single malt whiskey, and they were instrumental in introducing this category of whiskey. But today these guys are run by the 5th generation of the William Grant family, and they also own and produce the Drambuie spirit as well, which is based on whiskey, but I think it's got like honey and vanilla and stuff added to it. I can't remember exactly what it is. But on site these guys have 32 swan neck copper stills, and they've got a capacity of 30 million litres of spirit. And the whiskey is aged in many different casks, but mainly Caribbean rum casks, American bourbon casks, and they've also got some sherry casks from Jerez, which is in the south of Spain. And when this whiskey is matured, it's cut with Rabbit Dew spring water to take it to the 40% strength mark. So that's all you really need to know about the distillery just now. Interesting one, as I say, owned by one of the big kind of whiskey distilling families in Scotland. And I had no idea that they owned Drambuie as well before I did the research of the video. But yeah, if you want to learn a little bit more about the Glenfiddich Distillery, you can check out the distillery Distillery website in the description below, and of course you can follow them on Facebook and Instagram and all of these kind of things. So yeah, let's leave it at that for the information side of the video. Let's get on to the tasting of this one itself. But yeah, as you can see, presented really nicely. This sort of triangular box, if you like, you can see the shape of it here. They've got the nice deer as their symbol as well. I really like that, and it's got the crest too. But yeah, nicely presented, this one. It says on the front, the pioneer of the single malt categories, matured in the finest Oloroso sherry and bourbon casks and uniquely married in oak tons for a beautifully balanced nose and refreshingly complex flavour. But yeah, you can see there's the William Grant and Son signature at the bottom here. Also tells you a little bit on the back here. It says, married for ultimate complexity. After being matured in the finest Oloroso sherry and bourbon cask for at least 12 years, our whisky is married in oak tons by Brian Kinsman, our innovative malt master, to give it an unrivaled harmony, complexity and depth. Our award-winning style, the Glenfiddich 12-year-old, is a perfect example of our Speyside signature style, one that has made us the world's most awarded single malt. A smooth and beautifully balanced nose complemented by refreshingly rich and complex notes of fresh pear and subtle oak. And it's tells you a little bit about the thing here as well. It says, William Grant, our founder, hand-built our distillery with the help of his family in 1887, naming it Glenfiddich, Gaelic for Valley of the Deer. He also established our signature style, taking a high cut point from his small stills. A tradition of his family still continues 5 generations later. Today, our stag simple represents William's pioneering spirit. So there you go. The stag, of course, just means because it's Glen of the Deer, basically, which is quite cool. So yeah, let's get this guy out and we will get on with the tasting then. Once again, as I said at the start of the video, a huge thank you to Pete for making this review possible. So yeah, this is going to be quite interesting. Yeah, it's in a green bottle as well. I've not forgot that these guys were in green bottles. Yeah. Ooh, that does smell really quite sweet actually. So yeah, let's take a little bit of this then and see how we get on. That should be enough to have a wee taste of this. So yeah, clear the throat. So yeah, as you can see with this one, for me, this one's poured like that's a very kind of bright golden colour actually, one of the more strawy coloured whiskies that I've had in recent times. But you know, that looks, you know, really quite nice. You can see if I put my fingers behind it, very clear. Of course you don't really get hazy whiskey or anything like that as you do with the craft beers and things like that, but you can see, you know, very nice and kind of bright in terms of its colour. It's things like the different casks and stuff like that usually give the whiskies different colours. Some distilleries of course add colourants and things to them as well. I'm not sure if Glenfiddich does that. I really actually don't know whether they do or not, but I would guess this one is fairly thin. I think it would be quite difficult to make whiskey lighter in terms of colour, but to make it darker I think would be pretty easy. But yeah, in terms of colour, this one is a kind of nice pale goldeny sort of straw colour. But yeah, it looks very nice. So let's take a look at the nose and just see how we get on with this one. Oh, that smells nice. This one to me comes across as really quite sweet. So yeah, for me, there's a little bit of a kind of, it's got an element of a kind of buttery character to it. You can definitely pick up some of the oaky, woody notes in there. Yeah, definitely a nice kind of oaky, woody note to this one. Computer's going crazy. But yeah, definitely a nice sort of woody, oaky note to this whiskey. And I like, pardon me, I like how this one is, it's got a little bit of the fruit edge to it. It's definitely got this kind of, it almost reminds me a little bit of like a Werther's Original or something like that, or a kind of butterscotch, a more vanilla-y type butterscotch sort of sweet. Say, sorry, I'm still recovering from a cough that I've had the other day. This is why we need to drink whiskey. It's good, it's for medicinal purposes for Scottish people. But yeah, vanilla-y, nice sort of butterscotchy brown sugars, a little bit of a kind of, as I say, a sort of almost Werther's Original quality to this one. The woody oaky notes are coming out a little bit. There's an element of the kind of grainy notes pushing their way out of this beer as well, and there's a little bit of that kind of citrusy orchard fruit kind of thing. It's got a little element of a, to me it's got a little element of a grassy note to it just in there too, but it's got a good peary, kind of appley, kind of citrus coming out of this one. It's definitely got a nice little bit of that orchardy fruity quality to the beer, but I love the aroma of this one, I have to admit. I like these nice kind of light, kind of fruity whiskies as well. Although, as you know, if you watch my beer reviews, you know I absolutely love smoky things, the likes of Lefroy, Ardbeg, and stuff like that. You know, I absolutely love these kind of whiskies. But this one for me smells very, very nice. Just nice, kind of quite a sweet one, and a little bit of fruity character as well. You know, it smells really nice. So as I always say, take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of your whiskey before you get stuck into it. But let's have a taste of this one now. So this one is the Glenfiddich 12-year-old, one of the best single-selling single malt sale. How can I say this? It's the best-selling single malt whiskey in the world. I don't know why I couldn't say that, but let's get stuck into this one. Slàinte, skål. Oh yeah. So this one's definitely, it's definitely got a nice kind of sweetness to it. The first taste in the whiskey is always very, very interesting, but I like just how this one kind of goes about its business. It's got a lovely kind of smoothness to it for me. The mouthfeel in this one comes across as quite smooth, and you know, most whiskies are warming, but this one just has a nice kind of smooth warming quality about it. But yeah, it's kind of, this whiskey, you can get ones that are quite different from the aroma. Like you'll get different things in the aroma obviously than you will to the flavour, but for me, this whiskey is kind of pretty much what I was expecting from the aroma. It's interesting that actually. But yeah, for me, sweet side of things in this one, in the centre of your palate, for me it's you can pick up the sort of nice oaky flavours to this one. There's a little touch of the grainy flavour coming out in there as well, but the nice kind of oaky wood flavours in this one are really nice. It's got a good element of vanilla to it as well, which will be kind of from you know, the oak always gives your whiskey this lovely vanilla flavour. They were saying that it was Oloroso casks and rum casks and things like that, but yeah, it's really nice, this one. The centre of your palate for me is quite sweet in this, as I say, nice oaky notes, and a little bit of vanilla in there as well. There is a tiny little bit of a touch of a grainy note to this one too. And yeah, the fruity notes are quite interesting with this one too. To me, when it starts to mature a little bit around the edges of your palate, I think there's a little touch of an almost kind of it does have a teeny little bit of a spicy quality to it, I think, very small sort of spicy quality. But then towards the front of your palate, it does. I think there's a little element of an almost it's not quite grassy, but it reminds me of. It's just got a little bit of that kind of freshness to it, and the fruity notes are kind of sitting at the front of the tongue too. You can pick up these nice peary esters. There's a little bit of apple there. The peary one for me, I'd say the fruity side of this whiskey is leaning a little bit more towards the pears for me. But when you've actually got the liquid on your tongue, it's got a little bit of that. You know, it does have a little bit of that appley. There's a little bit of sharpness, a little bit of more appley sharpness to it, I would say. But yeah, it's a really easy one to drink this. I like, the main thing that's standing out for me with this whiskey is just how smooth it is, and I love the combination of flavours in this, the sweetness, the sort of butterscotchy sweetness that this one has. You can, when the whiskey kind of opens up a little bit in your mouth, it does become a little bit more like that sort of Werther's original butterscotchy kind of thing that I was talking about in the aroma. It really does kind of come across quite nicely in that sense, and I'm finding this whiskey's getting sweeter and sweeter the more that I drink of it, and there is that, as I say, that little touch of a spicy note around the edge of the palate too, which is really nice. But I like how all the flavours kind of combine in this one. You know, this one for me, it's not the most complex of whiskies that you're going to come across, I think, but it's a nice, it's a nice drinking one. This one I think would be quite good for pairing with different foods and things like that. But as I say, I really like how this goes together. So thumbs up to Glenfiddich for this one. For me, I like this one. And as I say, there are more complex whiskies out there, but you know, it's a nice kind of easy drinking one. This for me, and you can see why it sells quite well. If you're selling this out in the Far East, in Japan and China and things like this, you know, it's one of these kind of sweeter things. People are attracted to sweeter things. You can see why this one would become one of the kind of the best selling ones that you're going to find in the world, of course. So yeah, really interesting whiskey, this one. So I'm glad I was able to try it. But as I say, I really like how this one's kind of coming across. Like I said, the mouthfeel for me overall is quite smooth in this one. There's a little tiny bit of spice to this one for me, and it's got that nice warming quality, but it really sweetens up, I think, as the whiskey opens up. So yeah, if you get the chance to try this, which I'm sure you will, because like I say, best selling single malt in the world, I think you're going to enjoy it. It's a nice kind of sweet one, this. So yeah, there's a lot of different Speyside whiskies though. There's a huge variety of different things up there. You know, people are aging them in different casks, they're using different types of malt, all of these kind of things. There's a huge variety of flavours you can get from Speyside whiskies. But yeah, Glenfiddich is one of the better known ones, I think it's fair to say, and for me, their 12-year-old is pretty nice, and it's one of the ones where it pretty much tastes as you would expect from the aroma. So yeah, really, yeah, glad I was able to review this one. Again, thank you to Pete for making this review possible. And yeah, the citrusy fruits are really coming out of this, I think, a little bit more the further into it you go. But yeah, you know, let's leave it at that for this one. I've been really quite enjoyed this, actually. You know, I heard a lot of people said to me, oh, you know, Glenfiddich, you can get a lot better whiskies than that, but to me this is nice, and I don't like the whole snobbery thing when it comes to whiskey and stuff like this. For me, I've enjoyed reviewing this. That's the main thing. If it tastes nice, that's that should be the main point of trying these different whiskies. But yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. So this one was the Glenfiddich 12-year-old single malt from the Glenfiddich Distillery in Dufftown in Speyside, or Moray, whichever one of those two you want to use, between Aberdeen and Inverness in Scotland. Really cool to finally get around to reviewing one of the Glenfiddich whiskies and to actually trying it for the first time, as far as I can remember. But yeah, thank you again for watching my reviews. As always, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this one in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite whiskey from Glenfiddich is as well, and do let me know some of your other favourite Speyside whiskies too. I might make some playlists of, once I get a few more reviews out there, of course, I might actually do some playlists of whiskies from different countries and, you know, different regions of Scotland and things like that. The Highlands, the Islands, the you know, the Speyside whiskies, the Lowland whiskies and stuff like that. But yeah, it's been really cool to review this one. Thank you again for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon. Make sure you check out my social media and have a taste of some of these Glenfiddich whiskies if you get the chance. So until the next time, Slanger just now, and I will catch you guys very soon. This was the Glenfiddich 12-year-old single malt from Dufftown in Speyside, back home in Scotland. Until the next time, Slanger just now, and I'll catch you guys later. Skål.